Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 14. We're going to do another 10 squares of unit 14. So here we go. Okay, so I had already started this before, and then it kind of solved it. So I'm going to see if we can just start over. Okay, there we go. Let's go into it. Here we go. Okay, so a hovercraft takes off from a platform. Its height is x seconds after takeoff is modeled by this function of h. How many seconds after takeoff will the hovercraft land on the ground? So I'm looking for those zeros, and more specifically, I want the higher zero, right? Because I want to know how many seconds that it's going to land on the ground. Okay, so let's go ahead and find our zeros. We're going to write down the equation. -3 times the quantity of x minus 3 squared plus 108 equals 0. And now I'm going to go ahead and subtract that 108 from both sides. And I'm going to have -3 x minus 3 squared equals -108. And I'm going to divide by 3. I'm going to go ahead and plug this into the calculator just so I don't make any mistakes. Negative divided by negative is a positive, so I just need 108 divided by 3, and that equals 36. So x minus 3 squared equals 36. Okay, notice 36 is a square. Yay! I'm going to be dealing with whole numbers here. That makes it so much nicer for me. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and then I have x minus 3 equals plus and minus 6. Okay, so now I can just, before I was splitting that equation into 2 just to drive home that you have 2 solutions. But now that you're used to that, we can kind of skip that step if you would like to. You are more than welcome to continue to split those, but we're going to go ahead and write this just a different way. X equals 3 plus and minus 6. So I have 3 plus 6. So I have x equals 3 plus 6 is 9, comma, 3 minus 6 is -3. So I want the higher one because remember, -3 is going to be theoretical because the hovercraft is going to take off from here. -3 is over here, and then 9 is over here. So I want to know when the hovercraft lands, how many seconds it takes to land, and that's going to be 9. Okay. So did we get it right? Okay, yay. We feel good about that. Okay, let's do this again and go ahead and clear the whiteboard. What temperature will result in the maximum number of fish? Okay, so I'm not looking for those zeros. I'm actually looking for the maximum. So the X value that is associated with the maximum. But in order to find that, I have to find my zeros first, and then I need to find the midpoint. Okay, so let's go ahead and write down the equation. -2 times x minus 9 squared plus 200 equals 0. And now I have -2x minus 9 squared equals -200. I'm going to divide by -2. Negative divided by negative is a positive. 200 divided by 2 is 100. 100 is a square, so yay for whole numbers. Take the square root of both sides. X minus 9 equals plus and minus 10. X equals 9 plus and minus 10. X equals 19, comma, -1. Okay, so I have 19 and I have -1, and I need to find the midpoint. So I'm going to add them together, divide by 2. So 19 minus 1 is 18. 18 divide, so I can write it out. 19 minus 1, because it's 19 plus -1, right? Divided by 2 equals 18. Divided by 2 equals 9. So 9 should be our midpoint. That makes sense to me when I say it doesn't make sense in my mind, I'm kind of visualizing an x-axis, right? And here's 0, here's -1, here's 19. And I'm kind of saying, okay, does 9 make sense to be a midpoint? And yes, it does. Okay. So, hey, so there we go. What temperature will result in the maximum number of fish? Now I'm going to graph this out because now I'm not so sure about this at all. Because I have a negative equation. So I think I actually found the minimum and not the maximum. So here we go. Here's -1. Here is 19. And I'm going to have an equation that looks kind of like this. And then I actually found the minimum. So now I'm going to read the problem again and figure out what we're supposed to find here. Okay. The fish population in a certain part of the ocean as a function of the water's temperature is modeled by this. So what temperature will result in the maximum number of fish? The fish population in a certain part of the ocean. A function of the water's temperature. So which one is the x value and which one's the y value? So are we saying that in thousands of fish. So I think this is fish. And this is temperature. Is that right? I'm just going to think about this for a minute. Okay. I've thought about it. This looks good. So we have, oh, yeah. Okay, there we go. We have number of fish for the y value, and then we have temperature for the x value. So we're measuring as the temperature of the ocean goes from -1 makes sense because temperature can be in negative degrees. So with -1, there's not going to be a lot of fish. And with when the temperature of the ocean is very warm, right, it's not going to be a pleasant environment for the fish, and there's not going to be fish there. So a median middle row temperature makes sense. So x equals 9 is the middle row temperature. So that is when we are going to get the maximum amount of fish. Okay, so we got it. 9. That's my final answer. And let's see if we're right. Yes. Okay, great. Okay. So some of these you have to visualize and think about it. All right. Let's see how we're doing here. Next. A hovercraft takes off from a platform. Its height in meters 8 seconds after takeoff is modeled by Blake. What is the height of the hovercraft at time of takeoff? Yeah. Okay. So let's visualize first so that we don't get confused. More so I don't get confused. I know all your students are not confused. You guys are fine. But we're looking for the maximum, which is the median. So we're going to find these zeros and then we're going to find the median. And that is going to be but they're not asking us for the X part of the median, right? They're not asking us for how many times. They're actually asking for meters. So they're asking for that Y value of the maximum. So we've got an extra step here. So visualizing is super important. All right, let's do it. Our first step is to find the zeros. So we're going to set our equation equal to 0 And then we're going to go ahead and solve. Okay, we're going to divide 108 by 3. You can do that in your head, or you can do it on the calculator. I think it's going to be 39. Let's check, because whenever I make a mistake, we get the answer wrong. Oh, see, 36. Okay. Oh, right. I was thinking 18 divided by 2 is 9, but 18 divided by 3 is 6. 36. Okay. Again, math teacher trying to do math on camera. Little difficult. Okay, now we're going to take square root of both sides. So x minus 3 equals plus and minus 6. X equals 3 plus minus 6. X equals 3 plus 6 is 9. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. Okay, so I've got my zeros. Now I need to find my x value median, which is, I'm going to add them, 9 plus negative 3 divided by 2. So 9 minus 3 is 6, divided by 2 is 3. So my median value is 3. Now I'm going to take 3, I'm going to plug it in for x to find y, because remember, what they're asking for is meters. And in here, it's this is the y value is the height, and the x value is time. So you always have to visualize the graph and think, what are they asking for? Okay. So I need to find h of 3 equals negative 3. Now I'm plugging in 3 for x. So 3 minus 3 squared plus 108. 3 minus 3 is 0. 0, right? Negative 3 times 0 is 0. So this is super simple, super easy. My height is 108. Okay. Love it when we get to multiply by 0. Makes it so easy. Are we correct? Oh. I brought up the calculator instead of saying check. No. Okay. Oh, you guys. I thought we were doing the height of the hovercraft total, but they want the time of takeoff. So they're actually looking for this value right here, that y value. When x is 0, what is y? So we didn't actually have to do any of this stuff. Okay, so none of this stuff is actually necessary. All we needed to do is plug 0 in for x and figure out what y was. Okay, so h of 0 equals negative 3 times 0 minus 3 squared plus 108 equals. Okay, let's see. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Negative 3 squared is positive 9. Negative 3 times positive 9 is negative 27. Negative 27 plus 108. Again, I'm not going to try to do math on camera. I'm just going to plug it in just to make sure I don't make any mistakes. Negative 27 plus 108 equals 81. It's 81. Let's see. Man, it's really tricky because you have to read what they're asking for, and they could be asking for the zeros, they could be asking for the median value of the x, they could be asking for the maximum value, which would mean the y, they could be asking for that y-intercept, which in this case, they're asking for the y-intercept. The fish population in certain parts, this is the ocean one again. Okay, so what is the maximum number of fish? So we're looking for the maximum, so we're actually going to do what we just did with the previous problem. And we'll get it figured out. That's okay. We got to fail a bunch of times to be able to figure out how to do these things. Oh, you know what? We could just use h comma k to find the vertex, right? So vertex equals h comma k. Okay, so what is h? H is 9. And remember, it's not negative because if you look at our vertex form, it's x minus h. So it's going to be 9. 9, comma, and then K is 200. Super easy. So what are we looking for? What is the maximum number of fish? So if you remember from before, this is fish, number of fish. And then this is the temperature. So we have something going like this, right? And our vertex is going to be right here, 9, 200. So maximum number of fish is going to be that 200 piece. I don't know why I didn't think about it. I like to do things the long way sometimes, I guess. All right. That's all we had to do. All right. All right. Let's go to the next square. Okay. Quadratics by factoring. We get to factor now. Okay. I'm so excited because I love to factor. It can take a long time, but the rewards are worth it. Okay, so remember we have the situation of a x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And then what we do is a times c, and then we list all the factors of a times c, and then we figure out which one of those pairs we'll add or subtract to get b. Okay, that is the situation. Let's do it. Our A here is 1 and our C here is -10. So we have -10. So we're going to list all of the factors of -10. So super simple. 1 and 10, 2 and 5, 3 is not a factor of 10, 4 is not a factor of 10, 5 is a factor of 10, but we already listed it. We're done. Okay, which of those add or subtract to get +3? So we could do +5 minus 2, and that would give us +3. So then all we need to do is just write down our answer of -x minus 2, x plus 5 equals 0, and then just solve, right? So we have x equals 2, and then x equals -5. Which one is the lesser x, -5, and the greater x is +2? Let's see if we're correct. Super simple. We got this. All right. Super fun. A times C is 25 here. List all the factors of 25. 1 and 25. No 2, 3. 3 is not a factor of 25. 4. 4 is not a factor of 25. And then we just have 5 times 5. Whenever you get a double, you know you're done. Okay, which one of those add or subtract to get 10? It's going to be 5 and 5. So it's x. So we just write down the answer. We can write down the answer because A is 1. Whenever A is not 1, we can't just write down the answer, but we can just skip the steps, write down the answer because A is equal to 1. Okay, so I have x plus 5, x plus 5. For your information, this can also be written as x plus 5 squared. So there you go there, but it's just x equals -5. That's the only thing that will make it 0. So notice there's only one answer here. And I think that's right. Let's see. We're right. There we go. So when you have those perfect square problems, you are going to just get one answer. Okay, next. These are fun, right? Quick and fun. So A times C is 63. 1 and 63. There's no 2. 3 and 21. There's no 4. There's no 5. 6. I don't think there is a 6. No 6. 7 and there is a 6, right? Isn't 6 times 7 63? Okay. This is a math fact, and I'm just going to check that really quick. I should know these, but sometimes when I'm on camera, I get nervous, you guys. Okay. 6 times 7 is 42. 63 divided by 7 is what? 9. 7 times 9, of course. I don't even know. I don't know why. And then there's, so 6, just for the record, 63 divided by 6 is 10.5. So that one doesn't work. And then there is no 8 either. 63 is not divisible by 8. Okay, which pair gets us to 16? And it's 7 and 9, right? That'll get us 21 minus 3 is 18. Yeah. So, all right. We have the situation where a equals 1, so we can just write down our answer. We get to skip steps. We like that in math, right? X plus 7, x plus 9 equals 0. X equals -7 and -9. The lesser x is going to be -9. And the greater x is going to be -7. Okay, let's do this. Are we correct? Da, 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 da. Okay, here we go. Oh, this one's a perfect square, right? So I already know that this one's a perfect square. No reason to list all the factors. 49 is a square. The square root of 49 is 7. 7 doubled is 14. So I just can write down the answer. X plus 7 squared equals 0. X equals -7. And again, there's only one space to put in an answer. So there we go. All right, one square done. So that one was super easy. That was just factoring. If you're good with factoring, then that should be easy peasy. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, so now if you notice, a is not equal to 1. We can't just skip steps and write down the answer. We're going to have to factor by grouping. No big deal. It's just an extra step. Okay, so I have 5x squared plus 60x plus 180. A times C is 5 times 180. I'm actually going to pull out my calculator and do that here because those are a little bit of big numbers. So that's actually 900. We're going to list all the factors of 900. Here we go. 1 and 900. 2 and 450. 3 and 300. 4 and I'm pretty sure 4. 225. 5 and 180. Oh, of course. 5 and 180. 6. 6 and 150. 7 doesn't work. 8 doesn't work. 9 and 100. 10 and 90. And I don't think 11 works. We can check it though. Nope. 9, 12 and 75. 13 doesn't work. 14 doesn't work. 15 and 60. 16 does not work. 17 does not work. 18 and 50. 19 doesn't work. 20, right? 20 works, maybe. Yes. 20 and 45. I'm running out of room, but there's still more. 21 does not work. 22 does not work. 23 does not work. 24 does not work. 25 and 36. I'm getting there. 37 does not work. 38 does not work. Oh, no. 25. Oh, I went on the wrong one. Okay, 900. We need to check 26. I don't know why I was thinking 30. 26 does not work. 27 does not work. 28 does not work. 29 does not work. We're getting close. 30 and 30. Okay, so that's our last one. I'm just going to squeeze it in there. 30 and 30 works because it's a square. And that's whenever you get to a square, it's your last one. So we listed all the factors, and I should have known. Is 180 a square? No, it's not, because 18's, well, anyway. Okay, so 30 and 30, that works. So yes, because I have no negatives, so they have to add. So what adds to 60? 30 and 30 adds to 60. And that is it from our list. So I'm going to rewrite 60x as 30x and 30x. So this factor by grouping thing really comes in handy. And I hope you paid attention on last unit when we learned factoring, because now we're applying it. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to change colors so you can see. But my first group is going to be this one in red. And then my second group is going to be in blue. So I'm going to change back. Oh, that's not what we wanted. Okay. I'm just going to change back to black. Okay, so now the red group, what's in common in the red group? Well, I have a 5. 5 is both a factor of 5 and 30. And then I have 1x because I have 2 x's with the 5x squared, but I only have 1x with the 30x. So I can pull out a 5x, and what's left is x plus 6, and that's it. And then the blue group, what's in common? Well, 30 is a factor of 180, right? Yes. So 180 divided by 30 is 6. So I can pull out a 6, and I can't pull out an x because I only have x in one of my terms. So what's left is, oh, wait. I'm not pulling out 6. I'm pulling out 30. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. Let me go ahead and erase those. Okay, I'm pulling out a 30. So what's left, I have x, and then 180 divided by 30 is 6, x plus 6. So now what's in common is going to be my x plus 6, right? So I can go ahead and pull x plus 6 out of both of those terms. So I'm going to pull out x plus 6, and what's left in this first term is 5x, and what's left in my second term is 30. Okay, now we did all this work. Now I think, what am I doing? Okay, equals 0. So now I have to set these two things equal to 0. So x plus 6 equals 0 is super easy, right? It's just x equals negative 6. And then I have 5x plus 30. If you can do this in your head, go for it. But for those of you that can't, let's write it out. So I have 5x equals negative 30 and x equals negative 6, right? Because 30 divided by 5 is 6, and then I have a negative divided by positive. So I actually get negative 6 for both times. So I don't need to write it twice. So I actually only have one and I just realized how to make this problem so much easier. Let's bring up a new whiteboard. And let me show you. I feel like I do this a lot. You might fall into this trap too. So instead of listing all the factors of 900, and instead of I can notice in this, this is going to make this problem so much easier. I can notice that in this equation, I have a greatest common factor, and that's 5. So I can just take out 5. So I can write 5, and I can divide everything by 5. So I have x squared plus 12x plus 180 divided by 5 is 36. 36. Oh my goodness, right? 36 is a square. So this is a perfect square. So then I just have 5x plus 6 squared equals 0. X equals negative 6. So you guys, I'm so sorry. We went this is the short way to get negative 6. This is the long way to get negative 6. However you do it, the answer is still negative 6. There are many routes in these math problems. Let's see if we can do better here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and clear. And first of all, I'm going to check, is there a greatest common factor? Why, yes, it's 6. We can pull out a 6 here. And I get x squared minus x. 72 minus divided by 6 is 12. Yes, 12. Yeah, I wanted to say 12, but then I was second guessing myself. Okay, so a times c, 1 times negative 12 is 12. Let's list all the factors of 12. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. I'm at 4. I'm done. Okay, what do I add or subtract to get negative 1? I could do positive 3 and minus 4. A is 1, so I can just write down my answer. Super simple. Positive 3 minus 4 equals 0. X equals negative 3 and positive 4. Super simple. Lesser x is negative 3. Greater x is positive 4. Okay, always look for the greatest common factor. That is the lesson to be learned of the day. You can still get the right answer, but it's a long process. Take out a 6. What do we get? We get x squared plus 10x plus 150 divided by 6 is 25. 25. Okay. And I notice, look, I have a perfect square. So I have x plus 5 squared equals 0. X equals negative 5. Super simple and easy. I hope you really practiced all those factoring things to make this section easier on you. And always take out the greatest common factor. Okay, can we take out a 3? I think we can. I get x squared plus 12x plus 81 divided by 3 is 27 equals 0. And I don't have a perfect square situation here. So I'm going to list all the factors of 27, 1 and 27. There's no 2, 3 and 9. 4, there's no 4, there's no 5. 6, 27 divided by 6. There's no 6, there's no 7. I had to check just to make sure. 27 divided by 8, I don't think so. And then I'm at 9, so I've listed them all. So which ones add or subtract to get 12? Plus 3 plus 9. A is equal to 1. I can just skip and write down my answer. X plus 3, x plus 9 equals 0. X equals negative 3 and negative 9. So my lesser x is going to be negative 9, and my greater x is going to be negative 3. Okay. Check. Yay, done with that. Here. Okay, square number 4. Here we go. Find one value of x that is a solution to the equation. Okay, so what I think we're going to have to do is we're going to expand this first part. Is this what we need to do? No, I'm not really sure. X. Well, I see some patterns here. Let's go ahead and write down our problem and kind of play with it, and then we're going to see what we can do. So x squared plus 3 squared equals, I'm going to take out a 4 because 4 is the greatest common factor, and then x squared plus 3. Oh, right. Then we're just going to divide. Right, so we're going to divide this side by x squared plus 3 and divide this side by x squared plus 3. All right, so I have one of these, they cancel. I have 2 of these, and then I have 1 of these. So I'm left with x squared plus 3 equals 4. And then I have x squared. I'm going to subtract over that 3. So I have x squared equals 1. And then I take the square root of both sides, and then I have x equals plus minus 1. So it says one value of x. So now I'm going to go back to my original equation. I'm going to plug in these 2 values and see which one is a solution, because one of them could magically not be a solution, just the way math works. I know, confusing. Let's try positive 1 first. Okay, so I'm going to plug in this function for positive 1. So 1 plus 3 squared equals 4 times 1 plus 12. Okay, so 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 squared is 16. I don't know why that took me so long. And then 4 plus 12 is 16. So positive 1 works. Yes. Now let's try negative 1. Negative 1 plus 3 squared equals 4. Oh, whoops, I forgot to square it. Negative 1 squared plus 12. Okay, negative 1 plus 3 is 2. 2 squared is 4 equals, and then negative 1 squared is 1. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus 12 is 16. So 4 does not equal 16. So negative 1 does not work. So the solution is positive 1. Let's see if we're correct. Here we go. Yes. Okay, let's do some more of these. We'll run into stuff and see what we do. Okay. Sounds like a plan. Okay, so I see this plus 21 over here, and I think we're going to run into issues with that. So before I pull out a greatest common factor or anything, I think I really just want to subtract that over. Yeah. Let's see. Maybe I don't want to do that. I'm not really sure right now. Well, I'm thinking, yeah, let's just play with it. Let's see what we're gonna do. 10x squared plus 30. Well, you see, x squared plus 3 squared plus 21 equals 10. I could take out a common factor 10 and I get x squared plus 3. But dividing by that one is not really going to make a lot of sense. Because of that, we'd have to divide by that 21. So I don't really like that. But if I have this x squared plus 3 squared minus 10 times x squared, I just subtracted this 10, this mess on the right-hand side of the equation. I'm just going to subtract it over. Let's see what we get. Plus 3 plus 21 equals 0. Well, you can kind of see that we have this, if we set, we have this x squared situation minus bx plus c situation going on. So theoretically, we could do this 21, list all the factors of 21, 1 and 21, 3 and 7, and that's it. Plus 3 plus 7 would, oh wait, no. Not plus. -3, -7 would give us -10. So that could work. So then we would just write down our answer. I'm going to use brackets to kind of, because this is going to be slightly messy, equals 0. But I think this is a valid way of solving this equation. X squared plus 3 minus 3. Yep, minus 3. And then we have x squared plus 3 minus 7. Yeah, I think that's a valid way to solve this equation. And then I have, so like if you're not seeing what I'm saying, I could set x squared plus 3 equal to x. So then I have x squared minus 10x plus 21 equals 0. So I could factor that, and that would give me this situation where I have x minus 3 and then x minus 7 equals 0. But instead of x, I don't really have x. I have this nasty x squared plus 3 situation. So that's essentially what I did. And so now I have this first bracket. I'm going to set the first bracket equal to 0. And then I get x squared equals 0. So x equals 0, right? Square root. And then I have this other situation here, bracket number 2 situation, x squared plus 3 minus 7 equals 0. Well, plus 3 minus 7 is -4. So x squared equals +4. Because I had -4, I add 4 to the other side. So then I can do my square root situation. And I have x equals plus or minus 2. So I actually have 3 potential answers. So I need to plug in these 3 potential answers back into my equation to see which one is correct. All right, let's see. There's probably an easier way to do this, but we're going to go with this one. So my potential answers are 0, +2, and -2. So let's do the 0 situation. I love plugging in 0. So easy. So we have 0 squared plus 3 squared plus 21 equals 10 times 0 squared plus 30. Okay, so 0 squared plus 3 equals 3. 3 squared is 9 plus 21 equals 10 times 0 is 0, then plus 30 equals 30. So 9 plus 21 equals 30. I get 30 equals 30. So x equals 0 is a valid answer. And because it said find one value, I could plug in that -2 and +2, but I'm not going to. It says find one value of x, and 0 works. So I'm going to use 0. Let's see if it works. Here we go. But if 0 didn't work, then you would try 2. And then if that didn't work, you try -2. But it doesn't say find all the values. It says find one value. Okay, here we go. Let p equals 4x minus 7. Which equation is equivalent to this big thing in terms of p? Okay, so all we do is we just solve that big thing in terms of p. Super simple. Whenever I see 4x minus 7, I'm just going to write down p. I don't need to write 4x minus 7. I am just going to write down p, right? So 4x minus 7 squared, I'm just going to write p squared. P squared plus 16 equals, now I see that 40x minus 70 has a greatest common factor of 10. So I'm just going to factor out 10. So let's just factor out 10. So 40 divided by 10 is 4. So I get 4x and then minus 7. Well, look, because 70 divided by 10 is 7, right? Okay, you got it. So I notice that 4x minus 7 is p. So I can just write p squared plus 16 equals 10p. Okay, great. Now I notice that all these equations are set equal to 0. I'm just going to subtract 10p over. And remember in math, right, we like things in order. So I'm just going to put things in order. We like squared and then no squared, but still has the variable. And then we like the constant, which is just a number, right? So I'm going to put it in that order. I have p squared, and I'm going to put that minus 10p, and then I'm going to write plus 16. I'm just putting stuff in order, right? You know you're a math person when you're a little bit OCD and things have to go in a certain order, and this is one of those times, right? Okay, so which ones match up? So p squared plus, nope, minus 10, yes, minus 10, plus 16, that's it. That's the right one. Looks good. All right. Find one value of x that is the solution to the equation. Okay, great. Clear. So I have x squared minus 7 squared plus, I notice there's a greatest common factor here, so I'm going to factor out that 2. So then I get x squared minus 7 equals 0. Now, notice I can set p equal to something, right? So p equals x squared minus 7. So now I have, so yeah, my thing before, this is the trick when you substitute stuff in. Use p, substitute stuff in. So I have p squared plus 2p equals 0. So now I can do p squared. I'm going to subtract over that 2p minus 2p. Now I'm going to divide both sides by p, and I get, because I have 2 p's up here, I have 1 p down here, so I'm left with 1 p and then pp, right? So equals negative 2. So x equals negative 2. You could substitute it back in, but I think I'm going to believe, oh, wait. We found the value for p. Now we got to find the value for x. Okay, do not miss this part. So now we do need to plug this value in for this p to find out x. Okay, I have p equals to negative 2. So negative 2 equals x squared minus 7. So then I have 0 equals, I'm going to add 2, right? So x squared minus 5. Then I'm gonna jump up here, you guys, so I have more room. Add 5 over to the other side, right? I should have just added 7 to the other side. What was I thinking, right? But anyway, you get 5 because plus negative 2 plus 7 is positive 5. 5 equals x squared, and then x equals plus and minus root 5. Does that work? I mean, it has a calculator. Oh, so at this point, we don't know. I think this is how you do this. At this point, we don't know if negative root 5 or positive root 5 work. And my guess is one of those does not work. So let's take the positive value and make sure it works first. So I'm going to go back to this whiteboard and use this one. Okay. So my value is x equals plus and minus root 5, and I'm not sure which one works. Let's go back to our original equation. And we have, I'm going to plug in positive root 5 first. So root 5 squared minus 7 squared plus 2 root 5 squared minus 14 equals 0. Okay, so root 5 squared is just 5 minus 7 squared plus root 5 squared is just 5. 2 times 5 is 10 minus 14 equals 0. 5 minus 7 is -2. -2 squared is 4. 4 plus 10 minus 14. 4 plus 10 is 14. 14 minus 14 equals 0. So we have 0 equals 0. So yes, positive square root of 5 works. So I'm just wondering if I can do SQRT or if I need to put it in decimal form. Oh, look, I just typed in, I don't know if you saw that. I just typed in on my computer SQRT, and then it gets that magical square root. I think the other way to do it is click on this thing, and then you can do the square root there. So 2 ways to do it. Well, makes me feel better about my answer. Let's see if we're right. There we did it. That square is done. Let's do the next one. Oh, nope. I'm just going to do the next square. Okay, I'm going to click on courses, go to Algebra 1, go to Unit 14, find my next square, and click on it. Okay, here we go. Quadratic formula. Okay. This is so important. I can't really stress the importance of the quadratic formula. You must memorize it. You must say it every day, several times a day, until it is memorized. It is the most important thing you learn in this entire class. We're learning it right at the end, but it's going to be applicable to every single math class you take from now on, all the way up until Calculus 3. So please memorize this formula. If I could make an assignment just to memorize this formula, I would. This is it. I memorized it when I took Algebra 1 way long time ago. My teacher made us say it like at the beginning of class, in the middle of class, and at the end of class every day for weeks on end until we all memorized it. It is opposite of B. And you don't want to say negative because B could be negative and then the opposite of the negative is actually positive. So say opposite of B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. This is the quadratic formula. This is the magical quadratic formula. If you don't feel like factoring, if you don't feel like, if there's times when you just get messy numbers, especially when we're doing anything real world and we're measuring stuff and we're taking, scientists do this all the time. They don't have like nice, easy numbers to work with. They're usually measuring and they need to solve for X. They'll throw it into the quadratic formula. And yes, this is actually useful in some certain circumstances in real life. So I know everyone says, when am I ever going to use this? But scientists do use this. There are actually engineers use this formula. There are actually applicable real world applications for this formula. It's important. You should definitely memorize it. I really challenge each of you to memorize this formula. Super important. Super excited to get to this part of algebra where we're memorizing the quadratic formula. I know. It's great. Let's go. Okay, so here we go. So first we have to take our equation. We're going to find out what A is. We're going to find out what B is. We're going to find out what C is. We're going to stick it into the formula and we're going to see what happens. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and add that 9x back over, and I'm going to put everything in order where I have x squared, x, and then my constant, which is just my whole number. Okay. So I'm going to add 9x in there. So I have negative 9x squared. And then I have negative 6x plus 9x is positive 3x. And then I have positive 10 equals 0. Now I can write down what A equals, what B equals, and what C equals. A equals negative 9, B equals positive 3, and C equals positive 10. Okay, opposite of B. That means negative 3 plus and minus the square root of B squared. 3 squared is 9 minus 4 times negative 9 times c, which is 10. I'll go ahead and put all those in parentheses just to remind myself that I'm going to be multiplying those. Okay, all over 2a. So 2 times negative 9. So 2 times negative 9. So once I've plugged everything in there, now I can chug and go ahead and computate all of the numbers. Negative 3 plus and minus. Let's see. I have negative 4 times negative 9. Negative times a negative is a positive. So then I have 36 times 10 is 360. So then I have 9 plus 360, which is 369. Divided by negative 18. So notice I have negative on the top and then I have negative on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see, does it want me to simplify the negative? I think so. And it wants us to simplify that 369 as well. So we're thinking, is there a square contained as a factor within 369? Well, I know 9 is a square. So I could do 9. I could also list all the factors of 369 and find out if there are squares. So actually, we don't need to list all the factors. We just need to go through all the squares. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. 369. Okay, first square is 1. That doesn't help us. Is 4. 369 divided by 4. Does not work. 369, and the next square is 9, right? Because 3 squared is 9. So 369 divided by 9. Does that work? Yes. So 9 and 41. 41, I believe, is prime, right? Maybe not. Divided by 3. Nope. And 2 does, it's not even. It's not divisible by 4. It's not divisible by 5. Is it divisible by 6? Nope. Is it divisible by 7? Nope. Is it divisible by 8? I don't think so. No. Is it divisible by? No, it's not divisible by 9. So 9 and 41. So that's what we want. So now I'm just going to rewrite this as negative 3 plus and minus. If I write square root of 9 times the square root of 41, right? But I'm not going to write that because the square root of 9 is 3. And I already have my plus minus there. So I have 3 square root 41 divided by negative 18. So do you see a greatest common factor here? Yes, 3, right? So I could divide everything by 3. So I can take out a 3. So I have 3 divided by 3 is negative 1, right? And then plus and minus 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. But what's left is square root of 41. I don't need to write 1 times the square root of 41, right? And then 18 divided by 3 is 6. Right? Yes, 6. Negative 6. So now I'm going to deal with the negatives. So I have 1. And then with the plus and minus, because I want both plus and minus, I could write, instead of writing plus, I could write minus. Instead of writing minus, I could write plus. But in the end, it's just plus and minus. So the negative doesn't, I hope that makes sense. Divided by 6. Okay, so that works. So do we see this answer anywhere here? And yes, I do. I see it in D. So that works. Let's see if that's, yay. Okay. Same thing. This one looks less hairy. Again, I can delete my quadratic formula because I have memorized it. So in order to memorize, I highly recommend that every time you do a problem that needs the quadratic formula, just write it down. You will soon memorize it. So we're going to write it down again. Opposite of b, plus and minus, square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. There we go. So now I'm going to write down the equation. And when I write down the equation, I'm going to make sure I put everything in A, B, C order, so I'm nice and neat and I don't make any mistakes. 10x squared minus, right, because I have plus 9x, but I've got to get it over to the other side, so I've got a minus 9x. Minus 9x minus 6 equals 0. A equals 10. B equals negative 9. C equals negative 6. Opposite of B, which would be, my B is negative 9, so opposite of B would be positive 9. 9 plus and minus square root of B squared, 9 squared is 81, minus 4 times A, which is 10, times C, which is negative 6, all over 2A, which is 20. Okay, looks good. Now I got to figure out what this messy thing is. And I have negative 4 times 10, which would be negative 40. But there's a negative there, so it's plus. So negative times negative is a positive. 40 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24, so that's 240. So 240 plus 81. 9 plus and minus. 240 plus 81 is going to be 321 divided by 20. Is there a square contained within 321? So 321, there we go. The first square is going to be 4. So 321 divided by 4. Nope. And then 321 divided by 9. Nope. 321 divided by, the next square would be 16. Because 4 squared is 16. Right? Nope. 321 divided by the next square is 25. I don't think so. 321 divided by 36. Nope. 321 divided by 49. Nope. 321 divided by 64. 320. Am I putting this in right? 321 divided by 64. What is that? Nope. That doesn't work. 321 divided by 81. Nope. 321 divided by 100. Nope. 321 divided by 121. I don't think so. 321 divided by 321 divided by 144. Nope. What's 13 squared? 169. 321 divided by 169. Nope. What's 14 squared? 196. 321 divided by 196. Nope. 321. It seems like I went wrong somewhere here, but we're going to figure this out. 15 times 15, 225. Okay. So instead of dividing by the squares, I'm going to divide by, well, I still feel like dividing by the squares is the right track. So let's go ahead and let's make a quick cheat sheet. 1 squared equals 1, 2 squared equals 4, 4. 3 squared equals 9, 4 squared equals 16, 5 squared equals 25, 6 squared equals 36, 7 squared equals 49, 8 squared equals 64, 9 squared equals 81, 10 squared equals 100, 11 squared equals 121, 12 squared equals 144, 13 squared equals, I don't have these memorized now. 169, 14 squared equals, all right. I just realized I saw our answer right here. I don't think 321 goes into anything, but just for completion, 14 times 14 equals 196. 15 squared equals 225. 16 times 16 equals 256. And then 17 times 17. 17 squared equals 289. We haven't gotten to 321 yet. 18 times 18 equals 324. 324. So I would still do, I think I stopped at 15, right? 321 divided by 225. Nope. 321 divided by 256. Nope, not a whole number. 321 divided by 289. Nope. 321 divided by 324. So there are no squares contained within 321, so it cannot be reduced. 9 is not a factor of 20. There's no factor of 9 that's also a factor of 20, so that doesn't reduce. So therefore, this must be our answer. All right. So listing those squares was just for your pleasure, I guess. So always good to be thorough. So again, I'm going to take my function, I'm going to list it in A, B, C order, and then we're going to plug it into the quadratic. Opposite of B, plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. I really hope that you memorize that very, very soon, or at the very least at the end of this assignment. So I have negative 9x squared plus 3x. And then I have negative 6 plus 16, which is positive 10, equals 0. So A equals negative 9, B equals positive 3, C equals positive 10. Opposite of B is negative 3 plus or minus B squared, which is 9 minus 4 times A is negative 9 times C is 10. And then all over 2 times A, which is negative 18. Okay, so I have negative 3 plus and minus. Negative times the negative is positive. So I know this is going to be positive. 9 plus something. 4 times 9 is 36. Times 10 is 360. Didn't we do this one already? I feel like we did this one already. Maybe Con randomizes it. And we get 369. And then negative 18. So 369. I thought that was divisible by 9, right? So 369 divided by 9 is 41. I feel like we did this one. Negative 3 plus and minus, right? 369 divided by 9, which is 9 times 41. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 root 41 divided by, and I'm not going to write 3. I'm not going to write negative 18. I'm going to write negative 3 and 6, right? Because then I can pull out a negative 3 from all of these things, resulting in 1 plus or minus root 41 divided by 6. Which is, so they did not pull out the negatives this time. So maybe it is a different problem. You can also leave those negatives and you can multiply everything by a negative. I don't know why they wouldn't pull out the negatives, but both answers are correct. Great. Let's do another one. Opposite of B, plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and subtract over that 11x squared. So negative 11 plus 6 would be negative 5. Yes, I'm happy with that. Negative 5x squared plus 7x plus 9 equals 0. A equals negative 5. B equals 7. And C equals 9. Opposite of B, negative 7 plus or minus square root of 49, because B squared, right? Minus 4 times A is negative 5 times C is 9. all over 2a. So I've got this 49, and the negative times negative is positive. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 times 9 is 180. All right, 180. Sorry, just getting a little tired. 180 plus 49. 180 plus 40. 180 plus 49 equals 229. Okay, so negative 7. Oh, I don't know why I wrote 2a right there. To negative 10. I don't know. I must be getting a little bit tired right now. That's okay. 229 divided by negative 10. Okay, so, well, first of all, I'm noticing that that's my answer in D. So I'm going to go ahead and select D and see what is going on here. Very good. All right, we got it. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are halfway through. Hello, everyone, and here we are again with another video for Khan Academy to finish up. So we've already done this many, and we're going to do 4 more squares. So every day, okay, so every week the goal is 10 squares, and we've already done 6 squares for the week. And so now we're going to go ahead and do those 4 more squares. Okay, so here we go. Number of solutions with quadratic equations. All right, let's go. Okay, so what is the value of the discriminant of f? Okay. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and review right now. So this is the quadratic equation. I really do highly suggest that you memorize this quadratic equation. Opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So this discriminant part is this b squared minus 4ac. So we're going to go ahead and calculate that with this. So with this, let's go ahead and get a new problem. Oh, let's go ahead and calculate this one. All right, so go ahead. Okay, so we have A is this first one, B is the coefficient of the second term, and C is the coefficient of the third term. So B squared, so that's 12 squared is 144 minus 4 times A, which is 3, times C, which is 5. Okay, and then that's just the discriminant part. Okay, so, and this is going to tell us how many zeros that f has. But whether it's positive, then it has 2 real roots. If it's 0, then it only has 1 repeated real root. Or if it's negative, then it has no real root, meaning the graph does not pass the x-axis at all. Okay, so 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 5 is 60. So I have 144 minus 60. Okay, so 144 minus 40 is 104. I know these 4s are coming out looking weird, but that means I have 20 more to subtract because I've already subtracted 40. If I take, I know I can't write that too very well. If I if I take 100 and I minus 20, that's 80. So, and then I'm left with 4, so 84. So a bit of mental math, and this pen does not like, there we go. Okay, so the discriminant is 84. And because it's positive, that means it has 2 real zeros. Okay, so let's go ahead. Is the discriminant of f positive, 0, or negative? So I can tell that it passes the x-axis twice, 1, 2. So that means it's positive. Okay. And then we're doing the discriminant again here. So b squared, that's 17 squared. And it shows me a calculator, so I can do this all on the calculator. So 17 squared is 289. 289 minus b squared minus 4 times a, which is 4, times c, which is 3. Okay, so I'm going to do 4 times 3 is 12, and then 12 times 4 is 48. So I have 289 minus 48. So I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to subtract 48 from there. Let's see what I get. So minus 48. Okay, then I get 241. And then it's positive, so that means I have 2 real number zeros. Okay, so here you can see that this graph is right on that x-axis, but it only touches the x-axis one time. That means I have 1 real root. Okay, so that means that when I calculate it, it's going to be 0 when I calculate the discriminant. All right, so that's what that looks like. And I wish we could have done an example that showed 0 roots. So I'm going to do this again just to see if it will give me that example. Okay, so b squared is 10. So b is 10. So b squared would be 100. And then I have minus 4. A is 6. And then c is negative 1. Okay, so then I have 100 plus 4 times 6 is 24. And if you're wondering why plus, I have a negative times a negative that would equal a positive. So then my final answer is 124. When I write in con, for some reason, it doesn't like it the way I write 2s and 4s, but that's 124. Go ahead and punch that in. It's positive. There's going to be 2 real roots, real zeros. Okay, so here, this is an example. Notice how the parabola does not cross the x-axis ever. Here is the x-axis. The parabola does not cross because it's down here and pointing downward. So that means my discriminant is going to be negative, and I'm going to have 0 real roots. Okay, so let's try the discriminant f. Let's see, we have 12 squared is 144. Minus 4 times a is negative 4 times c is negative 9. Okay, so gives me a calculator. I'm going to go ahead and use that. So I have, let's do our negatives. So negative times negative, that would be positive, times the negative, that's going to be negative. So I'm going to have 144 minus something. And then 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 9. So let's go ahead and punch that in. Let's figure out what that is. That's preloading. Okay, there we go. 16 times 9 is 144. Okay, so now I have 144 minus 144. That means I'm going to get a 0. Okay, so the discriminant is going to be 0. That means my graph is touching the x-axis one time, and there's only one x-intercept. Okay. All right, so here's another example. This is great. This is the x-axis. And notice my graph never touches it. So when I calculate the discriminant, I'm going to have a negative value. And that's going to tell me that there are no real roots because I cannot take a square root of a negative number. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next one. Okay, let's go. Okay, now we are going to complete the square. So we're going to practice completing the square. So if I am factoring a number and I have a trinomial and I get the same number, then that is going to be a square. So what we mean by completing the square is we are going to guess that C value that makes it so I can factor this binomial into a square. Okay, so I have x squared plus, okay, so I am going to look up this whiteboard because it's just, the tablet that I'm writing with is just so much smoother of an experience. So I apologize. I'm going to go ahead and go back and forth because I thought I could do it on Khan Academy. I always think, oh, let me just write on there, but it's just not as smooth of an experience. So I have x squared plus 18x plus something that's going to allow me to factor this into a square. Okay, so my formula is b over 2 see if I can, nope. Okay, my formula is b over 2 squared. Okay, as long as my a value is 1. So if my a value is not 1, meaning the coefficient in front of the x squared, if there's a number there, then I need to divide everything by that number to get a 1 there. So I have a 1, so I'm good there. Now I need to do b over 2 squared. So my b is 18. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 9 squared is 81. So 81 is my number that will complete the square. So what is the missing constant term in the perfect square that starts with x squared plus 18x? And that is equal to 81. Okay, let me see if I can. All right. Okay, let's see. Just trying to figure out how to fit this in here nicely. Oh, here we go. And I can hide that too. Okay, there we go. That's much better. Okay, now we have x squared minus 16x. So x squared minus 16x. I'm going to do this b over 2 squared again. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 8 squared is 64. So my missing number is 64. And that is going to be a positive, even though I have a negative value for my b. If I take a negative 8 and I square that, I'm doing negative 8 times negative 8. That's going to give me a positive 64. So it's still a positive number. So really take note of that. Okay, 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So 25 is my missing number there. Okay, 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So in this case, 1 is my missing number. All right. Oh, that's not what I wanted. All right, let's go to the next one. Of course, I lost my place. Here we go. I'm going to scroll down here. Maybe I need to move my video right here. think we're right here. Okay. Okay, rewrite the function by completing the square. Okay, so my formula is that same thing. I have 4 divided by 2, which is 2. 2 squared is 4. So 4 is going to be my missing number. Okay, so I like to do that. So I need to add 4. Okay, so what I need to do is I write x squared plus 4x and then plus blank, because I need to add blank to it, and then minus 60. Okay, so we said that 4, it was 4. Okay, so I need to add 4 and I need to subtract 4 only because I don't have an equal sign yet. When I have an equal sign, I do it a little bit differently. But I need to add 4 and subtract 4 because it's on the same side of the equal sign. So I need to make sure I'm accounting for that. So this piece, let me change colors so I can show you. Okay. This piece right here, okay, that is going to factor into x. Okay, I'm looking at the middle term to see what sign I need to use. If b is positive, then I use positive. Okay, so plus, and then I look at my c term and we're going to square root it. So 4 square rooted is 2. So that's the value I need there. And then that is going to be squared. Now, I'm going to look at this piece right here. Okay, so I have negative 60 minus 4. If I add those together, it's going to equal negative 64. So my final answer is x plus 2 squared minus 64. Okay, let's go ahead and punch this into our answer. Okay, x plus 2 is going to go inside my square. And then what's left over, notice there's a plus already in there, and my answer is a negative. So I need to put negative 64. Okay. All right. So here we go again. Let's do this again. X squared minus 4x plus blank, right? Because I want to complete the square. And then I'm going to go plus 70. Okay. So I need to think of a number. I'm going to take my b term. So notice I have negative 4 this time. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So I need to add 4 and I need to subtract 4. And in math, we call this adding 0. Notice if I add 4 and subtract 4 together, those make 0. So I'm just adding 0 to my problem. And I do it this way because I have no equal sign yet. It's coming. So we're going to do it a little bit differently pretty soon. But this way we're doing it for now. So this first piece, I'm going to go ahead and square. So I have x. Remember, my sign comes from my b term. My b term is negative, so I'm going to use a negative. And then I look at my c term to figure out what I write. I'm going to square root 4. That's going to give me 2. And I'm going to square that, write a square. And then plus 70 minus 4. That equals 66. Okay. So my final answer is x plus 2. Oh, x plus, remember I have a negative right there. So x plus negative 2 plus 66. Whoops, too many. All right. There we go. All right, let's do this again. X squared plus 16x plus blank. Oh, we have an equal sign now. So we're going to do this a little bit differently with our equal sign. And then I have plus 63 equals 0. Okay. So I look at my b term. Okay, I have 16 divided by 2. That equals 8. 8 squared is 64. So I need to add 64 on this side, and I need to add 64 on the other side of the equal sign. Now, this is the same thing of what we were doing before. I would have done plus 64 minus 64 to add 0. But because I have an equal sign, I can just add the same number to both sides, and I'm still adding 0. Okay, so that looks great, except I need to subtract over this 63. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 63 and subtract 63. Okay, let's do my next step. So I'm going to do my square part. I'm going to write my parentheses, write my x, look at my b term for the sign. It's positive. I need a positive number. Look at my c term. 64 square rooted is 8. And I square that. That's my square part. And remember, if you were to write this out, x plus 8 parentheses times the quantity of x plus 8, and we were to FOIL that out, I would get this number, x squared plus 16x plus 64. That's all I'm doing. I'm just going to the square. That's the next level. Okay, so now this goes away because I subtracted it over. 64 minus 63 is a positive 1. Okay, so now I have x plus 8 squared equals 1. And then I'm going to check it. And we got it right. Okay, I need more whiteboard. So let's go ahead and clear this. All right, here we go. Rewrite the equation by completing the square. Again, we have an equal sign. X squared minus 4x minus 32 equals 0. Oh, you want an I. There we go. Plus blank minus 32 equals 0. Remember, I'm just going to write this to the side here just so we have it written down in our notes. B over 2 and squared. That's what we're looking for. Okay, I'm going to take my b term, which is negative 4. I'm going to divide it by 2, which is 2. Square it, that's 4. So I need a 4 on this side and a plus 4 on this side. And I'll just write it under there just because I'm running out of room over there. Okay, so this first part, I'm going to go ahead and square it, combine it into its squared format. X plus 2. Oh, and you know what? I wrote plus, and did you catch my mistake? It needs to be negative because my b term is negative. Okay, and then I also want to go ahead and add this 32. I'm going to add it to the other side right now. That way I can write my equal sign here. And I have 32 plus 4. That's going to be 36. Okay, that looks great. So I'm going to go ahead and write negative 2. And then I'm going to write 36. Okay. Here we go. So there we are. All right. So we did, let's see, how many squares do we need? First week was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Second week is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more square for this week, and then we're going to go ahead and stop for this week. So I know this is a lot of work every week. It's just turned out this way how we do the classes. Okay. So we're looking at this equation. Okay, we're going to rewrite the equation by completing the square. Okay, perfect. So basically, first thing I want to do is I want to get all my values over to one side of the equation. And I want to make the equation positive. So I'm looking at this, and because I already have x squared, and it has a 1 coefficient in front of it, meaning there's no number in front of it, but it's just 1x squared. I'm going to go ahead and move these numbers over here all the way over. So these letters and numbers are going to be moved the left-hand side. In math, this is the left. So sometimes we abbreviate left-hand side, right-hand side of the equation with the equal sign in between. Okay, so I'm going to move the letters and numbers from the left-hand side over to the right-hand side. Okay, so I have x squared plus 3x. And then I notice I have a 1x on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract that over. Remember, whenever I move it, the sign changes. So I have negative x. And then I'm going to go ahead and subtract that 3 over, minus 3. And then I can write the 0 on the left-hand side. But it's also mathematically correct for me to just go ahead and move that 0 to be the right-hand side. So I kind of switched sides there. So take a minute and see if you can wrap your brain around that, but that's how I'm going to do it this time. So now the equation is now on the left-hand side instead of the right-hand side. I just went ahead and flipped it. Okay, so now let's combine like terms. I have x squared, 3 minus 1 is going to be 2, positive 2x. And I know I'm going to be completing the square because that's what we've been doing this whole time. So I'm going to write plus blank. And then I'm going to go ahead and move that 3 over to the right-hand side again. I know we kind of moved things around a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and move it over at this step. You could do it next step. It's really up to you. When I move a negative over, it becomes positive. Okay, so that looks good. Now I'm trying to figure out which number will complete the square for me. So I have 2 divided by 2, which is 1. 1 squared is 1. So I'm going to need a 1. So I'm going to add 1 on the left-hand side, and I'm going to add 1 on the right-hand side. So I'm adding 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and square this. So x, look at that middle term for the sign, and then look at the c term for the square for the number. So I'm just going to, so 1, the square root of 1 is still 1. And then squared. Okay, and then there's my equal sign. Okay, and then 3 plus 1 is 4. Okay, looks great. Okay, so this is actually our answer to step 1. So here we go. So all you do, I'm going to decide if I need a positive or if I need a negative. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the positive. I'm going to press Control C to copy that, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it right in. That's a little quick trick to just make it a little bit quicker for you. So my C term is going to be 1, and my D is going to be 4. Okay, so that's just so don't press check yet. We still have to do part 2, which means we continue solving the problem until we get a number, x equals a number. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So at this step, I'm going to square root both sides. So I have a square root and square root. Okay, x plus 1 squared, square rooted, is just x plus 1. You can keep the parentheses, but now we can drop them because we don't need to square it anymore. Equals plus and minus. I have to do that plus and minus at this step because we're working backwards. Remember, if I have a positive 4, I can get there 2 ways. I can get there by 2 squared and negative 2 squared. So there are 2 possibilities. So I have to include the positive value and the negative value at this point. Okay, but square root of 4 is 2. So I just write 2. Okay, now I'm just solving for x. I just need to get x alone. I subtract 1, and the way we like to write this is we write the whole number first and then the square root. So what we're going to end up doing in each of these problems that are like this, the same way we're going to take this number that we subtracted from the x and we're going to squeeze it in first. So that's a bit different than what we usually do. So we're going to write negative 1 plus and minus 2. Now, because 4 happened to be a square, I don't have a square root anymore. So I'm gonna take it one step further. Khan Academy wants this answer, but let's just take it one step further just on this one, just so I can explain to you what's going on. And so it can maybe click in your head and you'll have an easier time with these. Okay, so we can write x equals negative 1 plus 2, and I'm going to write the and with a comma, and negative 1 minus 2. So that means x can equal negative 1 plus 2, which is 1. X can equal 1, or x can equal negative 3. And I got that negative 3 from negative 1 minus 2. Okay, so that's kind of what's going on. But remember, Khan Academy wants this answer here. They're kind of helping you work this out step by step because these tend to be more confusing more difficult problems for Algebra 1 students. So just so you know, we're getting to the end of the semester. This is the hefty stuff here. And if these problems kind of make your brain hurt, I understand this is hefty stuff, but I know you can do it. We're just going to take it step by step. Okay, so I have a -1 plus -2. Okay, so that looks like it's D. So let's check it and see what constant. All right, so we got it right. So I'm going to put myself up here. I'm trying to find a good spot for me to be. Here we go. Next question. Okay. Oh, but then I'm covering up the equation. Okay, let's go ahead and clear my whiteboard. Okay, I have 2x squared minus 20x equals x squared minus 19. Okay, notice that my bigger x squared is on the left-hand side. So this time my strategy is going to be, I'm going to take all of the letters and numbers from the right-hand side and I'm going to move that over to the left-hand side. Okay, so we're going to write 2x squared. I'm going to go ahead and move that x squared over because I want to combine like terms and make it as easy on myself as possible. So minus x squared minus 20x and then plus, oh, you know what? I think actually I'm just going to write equals and leave that -19 over on that side because I'm going to be completing the square. Okay, 2x squared minus x squared is x squared. And then I have minus 20x plus blank because we need to complete the square. And then equals -19. Okay, that looks good. Okay, now we need to take our b term. We need to divide by 2. 20 divided by 2 is 10. 10 squared is 100. So I'm going to add 100 to the left-hand side and then add 100 to the right-hand side. Okay, so now let's go ahead and write our square. X minus 10 squared equals -19 plus 100. Okay, if it was -20 plus 100, that would give me positive 80. So because I'm only subtracting 19, it's going to be 81. 81, which if you notice is a square. So we're going to kind of have an easier answer here. So now we're going to go ahead and square root both sides. That leaves me with x minus 10 equals plus minus square root of 81 is 9. Okay, and then I'm going to add 10, add 10. So x equals, remember, I'm going to squeeze in that whole number first before the plus minus. So 10 plus minus 9. So that's the answer Khan Academy wants. So we're going to go ahead and remember, this is the first answer without the square roots. So I have a negative here, so I'm going to go ahead and click there, and then I'm going to Control C and then Control V to copy paste it. My C value is going to be 10. My D value is going to be 81. So I should have written that down before I square rooted both sides, but sorry guys, I just forgot. X equals positive 10 plus minus 9. So it looks like we're at D. Okay, great. All right, let's do this next one. So looking at my equation, I only see one x squared, okay? And then I see a c term, which I know I'm going to need a new c term because I'm completing the square. So I'm going to go ahead and write this down. But when I write down that c term, I'm going to move over from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. Okay, so x squared plus 16x plus blank equals, now I have a -2 on that left-hand side. I'm moving it over, so I'm going to write positive 2. Positive 2 plus 11 is positive 13. So I'm just going to write 13. Okay, so now I calculate my c term, which means I take 16, divide by 2, I get 8. Square 8, I get 64. So I have plus 64 plus 64. Okay, looks good. Now we're going to go ahead and write down, factor it. X plus 8 squared equals 4 plus 3 is going to be 77. Notice 77 is not a square. So we're just noticing that at this point. Okay, looks good. Now let's go ahead and write this down for number 1 because that's our answer. So I'm going to click on the positive one, copy. Now I'm going to paste. And then that C term is going to be 8. And that D term is going to be 77. Okay, let's go ahead and continue by square rooting both sides. We have x plus 8 equals plus minus. Now, 77 is not a square. So we're just going to leave it at the square root of 77. Okay. Okay, subtract over 8, subtract over 8. X equals negative 8 plus minus square root 77. Okay, let's see if this is, looks like this is number C. So let's see if we're correct here. It's great about Khan Academy that when we do these problems that we can just check our work and know immediately if we did it right or not. So that's kind of really nice. Okay, looking at the equation here, I noticed 1x squared on the left-hand side and everything else on the right-hand side. So when I write this down, I'm going to go ahead and move that b term over to the left-hand side. That way I can complete the square. So I have x squared minus 6x plus blank equals 1. And I'm just leaving that 1 over there because we are going to complete the square. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So plus 9 plus 9. Now we're going to go ahead and complete the square. X minus 3 squared equals 10. Okay, let's go ahead and write this down. So I'm clicking on the negative one. So my C term is 3. My D term is 10. Looks good. Now we're going to go ahead and square root both sides. And I get x minus 3 equals plus minus square root of 10 because 10 is not a square. So it would be really helpful if you memorized all of your squares. You should be able to list them off. 1, 4, 9, right? So you should be able to go down 1 squared equals 1, 2 squared equals 4, 3 squared equals 9, and just list them off all the way to at least 12, sometimes 15. Usually if they go beyond 12, they give you a little calculator to help, but it's really helpful to memorize all those squares. It really makes everything so much easier when you're calculating. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and add 3. So x equals 3 plus minus square root 10. Easy peasy. Looks like it's A. All right. Okay, that is it for this week. I hope you had a great time doing Khan Academy with me, and you'll join me for next week as we finish up the semester. Thanks, guys. Bye.